Jake here for American Trucks, and today I'm taking a look at this Hellwig adjustable tubular rear sway bar for 0 to 2 inch lifts, fitting 2015 and newer F-150s, excluding the Raptor. If you feel your F-150 is lacking a bit in the handling and stability department, then adding a rear sway bar is a great upgrade. This adjustable bar from Hellwig is an excellent choice for a daily driven truck, as it strikes a great balance between improving handling and stability without sacrificing ride quality, and it works with either your stock suspension or anything up to a 2-inch lift. Sometimes referred to as an anti-roll bar, your sway bars play an important role in defining your truck's handling and stability characteristics. Now, these newer gens of F-150 don't come with a rear sway bar from the factory, so adding one is going to make a dramatic improvement in handling and overall stability. So whether you're looking for a bit more grip through the corners, maybe you live on a windy road, or if you're looking for additional control when hauling or towing, Hellwig has got you covered with this adjustable tubular rear sway bar. This is a 3-way adjustable bar that is designed to work with either your truck's stock suspension or up to 2 inches of lift. So if you've lifted your truck and found that additional height and off-road performance has come at the detriment to lateral stability, this could also be the answer for you. Now, this is a 1-inch diameter bar, meaning that it is hefty and it's going to provide you a lot of torsional rigidity. So when the truck leans into a corner, this is going to be really nice and stiff, and it's going to help keep the rear wheels planted more firmly on the pavement. Now, that also helps with initial turn-in, making the truck respond more quickly when you turn the wheel and more intuitively. Now, that's not to say it's going to make it behave like a race car, but trust me when I say this is going to be a seriously noticeable improvement, especially since you're going from not having one at all to something that's really beefy. And because this is adjustable, you can dial in exactly how stiff you want it to be, with each of these settings getting progressively stiffer. So you start with the softest setting up here, and then as you dial it up to the other two, it gets a little bit stiffer. Now, this is also great for towing and hauling because it will, again, keep things much more stable. You're not gonna have as much movement and as much sway side to side in the truck. And it's such an easy adjustment that you can do this pretty much anywhere that you are. So if you know you're gonna be hauling a lot of weight, hitting some windy mountain roads, dial it up and enjoy that added stability and improved handling. Sometimes you'll hear people say that upgrading to a thick rear sway bar like this can come at the detriment to ride quality. Now, Hellwig designed this bar to strike a really good balance between the added stiffness and maintaining your factory ride quality, so this isn't going to beat you up or ruin the ride. Since this is an additional part, you do get all of the pieces that you need included to get this mounted, including the brackets, new adjustable end links. It's all pretty nice stuff. This is a really complete kit, and again, it is a bolt-on upgrade, so it makes it a relatively straightforward installation process, but we'll talk more about that in a few moments. The bar is constructed from high-quality, heat-treated chromoly steel, making it stronger than other types of steel, so it's better suited to this type of application because it's gonna be underneath your truck. Chromoly itself is also quite resistant to rust and corrosion, so this should stand the test of time as well. All the brackets come pre-coated, plus you've got new bushings for the bar itself and new bushings for your end links too. Now, everything is pretty high quality here. These are a nice polyurethane too, so those bushings are gonna be nice and stiff, and they're gonna last you some time too. And all those brackets, again, feature that black powder coat, so they're gonna look just right on your truck. It's gonna be very resistant to rust and corrosion too, just like the bar itself. And once it's installed, this pretty much looks like it should have been there all along. Pricing is gonna come in at about $675, and that puts it on the more affordable side of the spectrum when it comes to sway bars for this gen of F-150. It is certainly not the cheapest upgrade you can make, but I still find these to be worth it, especially considering how much of a difference it can make in how your truck drives and handles. And though this is not the least expensive option out there, and it also doesn't include a front sway bar, this is still a high quality product. You've got the adjustability, and that all, in my eyes, makes this very much worth it. Installation is gonna get a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and it should take you in around an hour's time. Now, while the install is pretty straightforward, this is a bolt-in operation after all. You are gonna need to get up there and do some assembly of these brackets and such. So there isn't any modification needed to your truck, it's just a matter of bolting this one in. And like I mentioned earlier, everything that you need comes included in the kit. New U-bolts, the bushings, the end links, the bar, and all the hardware. Even some grease for those bushings as well, and for your sway bar end links. But enough talking about it. With that, why don't we head over to the install bay and we'll show you how to get this done.
Tools required for this install include an impact gun, a 17mm wrench, and a 16 and 19mm socket. What's up, guys? Today we're installing a rear sway bar on our F-150, so let's get started. So our first step is to assemble our end links. Now we have bushings that we're gonna have to slide in, and then our piece that goes inside of those. We have a couple packets of lube to do this. So we'll slide those in, and then we can assemble them completely. So now we can take some of our grease and get that onto our bushing. And then we'll push that down into our end link. And then once we have that through, we can do that same thing here. And then we can do that same thing for the rest of our bushings. So now once you finish washing your hands, we can get our jam nuts onto our studs. And then thread that into the lower portion of our tie rod. And we'll do the same thing for our other end link. And then we're gonna wanna get these about even. We're gonna leave our jam nuts loose for right now until we get everything installed. And now we can work on installing our mounts. So our next step is to mount our upper end link bracket onto our frame. Now to do that, we have a nut plate that's on this rod so that we can fish it through. We have a hole in our frame rail that we're gonna put this through and then line it up to another hole up there. And then we'll thread our bolt with our bracket into these mounting holes. So we're gonna be putting our nut plate through the circular hole right above our muffler. Slide that in. And then we'll get it lined up on our oval hole, thread our bolt into it, through our bracket. And then once we have that in place, we'll take a 19mm socket to tighten it down. And then my rod, I'm just gonna fold out of the way and shove it into that hole. You could cut this off for a cleaner install, but if you ever go to remove it, it would make it pretty difficult to pull that back out. And then you can do that same exact thing on the other side. So next we can install the male end of our end link into our bracket that we just installed. So we're gonna be threading in our silver bolt. And then on the other side, we'll install our lock nut. And then we can tighten that down using a 17mm wrench on our nut side and a 16mm socket on our bolt side. And then we'll do that same thing on the other side. So next we can hang our sway bar from our end links. Now I've already got the bolt in on the other side just to make it easier to do on camera. So we're gonna be taking our gold bolts this time, and we'll thread that through our end link and then thread another one of our lock nuts on the other end. And now we can use that same 16mm socket on our bolt side and 17mm wrench on our nut side to tighten this down. And then we'll do that same thing on the other side. Next, we can install our bushings onto our sway bar. So we have a little slit here that we can just slide these over and onto our bar. And now we're ready to mount our sway bar up to our axle tubes. Next, we can install our U-bolt over our axle tube, and then we'll raise up our sway bar. We're going to be sliding our lower bracket onto our U-bolts. And then we'll put our bracket for our bushing on. Then we can grab one of our washers for the bottom of our bolt. And then the larger of our two lock nuts. Get that to hold it in place for now. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. And then we can take a 19mm socket and tighten these down evenly. And then we can do that same thing on the other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Hellwig adjustable tubular rear sway bar for 0 to 2 inch lift for your 2015 and newer F-150 excluding the Raptor. Thank you for watching, and for all things F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.